suppose we'll pivot on.
We will.
Pool C, which is also dynamic. This one's actually even more fun, I think, just purely because of the three sides in it at the top.
Yeah.
So we have England, France, Argentina, USA, Tonga. That's an interesting pool, isn't it?
I like it for a lot of reasons.
Yeah,
I even like the little tier 2 dynamic between USA and Tonga.
Both that'll be a fun game. So yeah, we'll start with that tier 2 as we've been doing. Tonga, the lowest ranked side in the pool.
Yes.
And they have been struggling this year. They have World Cup pedigree. They've been there, done that. They have a good record against France.
They have a habit in World Cups of performing above their station. They did it in 2007. They did it in 2011. They tried to do it last year, but actually just got outplayed. 4 years ago. Just got outplayed in their match to make a name for themselves against Georgia.
Yeah,
they just got Georgians are actually pretty great as well.
Yeah,
from a tier 2 perspective. They're not going in with a lot of confidence.
No,
they haven't got any real depth in their squad. Their distribution and attacking game isn't we haven't seen any of it.
No.
What we have seen is a physical side,
a good pick and go side. They can get some plays off with a rhythmic pick and jam game.
But a little like Georgia, even just to be, they're physical with the ball, but they need to be sharper on defence to make that game
their
work.
line speed has been too slow. They're passive in contact, even though they're big men.
Even though it was the All Blacks, chipping 92 points isn't good. It isn't a sign of a side that's there to compete. And while they could shock us and they could show up and be their usual Rugby World Cup selves, they have the best war dance of all the island nations, which is its own intangible thing. They have an uphill task. They have incredibly tough games against the tier 1 sides.
It's also the fact that and it's a point we've made before, that like if a tier 2 side wants to come in and play like Japan, they always have a chance because they're trying to score tries. They're flinging the ball around, and you never know if it clicks sticks for 5 minutes and then you get 3 tries off, then you're in the game. But if you're a tier 2 side that tries to do your bits and pieces fundamental, play a bit of a slow physical game, you're going to be shocked when you hit an England side.
And it needs to go right for much longer.
Yeah,
that's the thing, is Japan or Fiji need to get like 4 or 5 plays off, and all of a sudden you got 28 points, and 28 points can be enough to beat anybody.
Yeah.
But Tonga, in the way they play, they actually need to be down in the 22 for 80 minutes. And then see where it takes them. And they're not actually that technical and physical. I think of all the players to watch, I do like Nasi Manu, their captain. He's a good story and a great bloke, and
definitely
would be expecting him to get more plays off than just about anybody else.
They had Steve Maffey in there as well. He's a big unit. He's a bit loose as well. He's kind of simple. They're all a little loose. They're definitely big, exciting players. They can get some good plays off, but they also can look dreadful.
We haven't seen any. I would love to see it, but we haven't seen any evidence that the Tongans can mix it. Even with the highest level of tier 2, and they've got 3 tier 1 sides in their pool.
That's what the tough ask is. But as we've said with these tier 2 sides, they have a cup final and it's against the US. The US, similar position. The USA are a very physical tier 2 side as well. Not as devastating as they should be out wide. Like, they don't have as much speed on the wing as they should.
Crucially, they have Mike Teo back from injury. He did not play in the PNC, and he is a great winger. Straight into the starting team for me. Himself and Blaine Scully.
That's
a good little dynamic of a classy try-scoring winger and your sort of leader, captain, fundamentals man. And they do have Inaj McGinty, a really quality kind of 10 who's been playing some proper rugby in Sale, playing with Faf, getting some good experience. He looked very, very assured in even the Japan game that they lost. He was looking like a difference maker until he actually picked up a niggle and injury. It's nice to see a guy who's accustomed to playing high-level professional rugby at 10 for one of these tier 2 sides, because it does change things. And Aj is definitely that guy. They're physical up front. They have big man Joe Taufete'e with an incredible try-scoring record.
He's ludicrous.
Playing at hooker, and he's obviously massive. It represents a huge opportunity, perhaps more so than for any tier 2 team for the USA, because they've just started up professional rugby over there. It's getting momentum. It's going off the ground. More than any other nation, there are going to be big wallets watching with interest what happens in this World Cup. And it represents a real opportunity. If the US can look good, and if they can get a bit of momentum, if they can crack their way into some mainstream publications over there in terms of reporting on it, and people are paying attention to it, that requires putting it up to these tier 1 sides, swatting Tonga aside, and maybe even getting a shock. And like their side is almost, I think, entirely professional.
Yeah,
they have some very, very handy players. They have a very good line-out drive. They have experience like Paul Joyce, Ben Landry. Those guys have been there forever. If they can get things off and look good, the game has the capacity to take off over there, because
definitely
if it captures the imagination of investors over there and big wallets over there, money will flood into the game.
They need a Japan style victory over Argentina or France.
Yes, that would be huge.
Yeah,
that would be huge. That is exactly what they're going for.
A little spark to ignite them. But I think in terms of their development, they are not quite there to compete, and it's like similar to the point we were making. They don't play that fast and loose game that leaves it more likely that they'll get that way.
Yeah, that's where you really are hoping for Mikey Teo to shake that up.
Yes,
to be the spark, because the spark wasn't quite there. As good as they were in the PNC, the spark.
And they were very good. They were tidy. They're an impressively well drilled tier 2 side.
Oh yeah.
And they do like they do focus on set piece. So their scrum and line tends to be quite technical. Scrum
Maul in particular is great.
Maul is their best weapon. Their scrum can sometimes falter because they sometimes get their height a bit wrong. I can remember now as well. They're a little bit loose in that area, but they are a very physical side. I'm sure they came to Dublin and they're man for man. They're big and strong.
Totally.
So they'll have no fear of anyone. Yeah. But it's whether they can live with the pace that some of these sides will put on them, and whether they can defend and stop the likes of Argentina or France,
exactly.
who are devastating.
It's like, you need things to go right. You want to catch an Argentinian team that are a little cold, that aren't quite functioning in terms of their set piece and aren't fronting up front in the way that they would hope to. And then that's a team the USA can catch. But sure, there was all those narratives the last time out. I remember Argentina had Georgia in their group.
Yeah.
And while we didn't have the podcast at the time, I was saying, like, Georgia, they could cause them some problems up front. But Argentina were just in a different kind of mood.
Yeah.
They were just not having it.
And Argentina at World Cups rarely have it.
Yeah, and they were just actually we'll just put 60 points on Georgia with unbelievable offloading and paint a picture for that Georgian defence that they have never seen.
Yeah.
It's that good.
Yeah.
And if they catch Argentina in that kind of mood, it's one of these intangibles where like they aren't in full control of the USA. If they catch one of these guys off form, they can make things happen. If these tier 1 sides hit their form, they are going to put them aside.
Yes.
And I guess it's a good chance to... They will see off, I think.
I think so. I think they will. Yeah. But I think they'll be shocked by England.
Oh, God. Everybody's going to be shocked by England. Yeah. Argentina and France, and they will be shocked by England.
Yeah, but it's just like England play an extreme version of what the USA... They do everything the USA are trying to do, but so much better. And
McGinty is great, but we have
Owen Farrell.
Cameron Dolan, he gets some things off. Here's Billy Vunipola.
Yeah, this is it. It's like just an upgrade across the board. So, but we'll leave England to the last. We'll move on to Argentina, who are, curiously, I was checking out, he's ranked 11th in the world.
Yeah, it's nonsense. The world rankings, they have their flaws. I mean, people rail on them. They have two big flaws. It's not that big a deal. We're not going to spend much time on it.
No.
But
they're
big flaws that they don't take into account any points differentials in matches above 16.
Yeah.
So a 32-16 victory is the same points up and down as Ireland suffered a 57-15 defeat, which helped Ireland be top of the table. And then the other thing that it does is it just hurts Italy and Argentina in particular, who are just consistently only playing sides above their level. So they just don't get a chance to build up those points. But they are not the 11th side in the world.
No,
they're considerably lower down the list than that.
Yes, they're a tier 1 side, and despite the point is they're coming in with an 0-4 record for the year.
It's true,
but they're still a very dangerous side. The Jaguares obviously got as far as the final of Super Rugby for the first time ever, so there's optimism there. They can play a very fast attacking style. The concern I have for them is that for the first time really ever that I can remember, they're going to a World Cup with a scrum that can't function against top scrum. They have not managed to lock down a scrum even once. They were struggling with the Aussies.
Yeah, they got rid of Herrera. I mean, Juan Figallo is the hope.
He can sometimes stand up.
Forgot to touch on Lamasatele with the USA as well. Lamasatele, the other Saracens tight end,
that's true,
is huge for them, and in terms of their scrum, he hasn't played for them all year.
There you
that's
go.
Just a point on the US.
Yeah.
he could lock down their scrum for them. But obviously, Juan Figallo being their only hope at tight head. I actually think one of the crucial players for Argentina, we'll talk about their winning conditions in a moment, but just in terms of getting their defence right, is Pablo Matera. Pablo Matera is a very, very physical guy. He has the potential to be a World Cup bolter in terms of a guy who just makes a name for himself.
He makes plays after play.
All of the skills, and was about the only guy making defensive plays for them all season. And if he can become the leader of that pack and get other guys like Guido Petty along with him and Otego Decio, let's make big dominant tackles and let's not be defensively soft. That's crucial. And if they can get that going, their offense can mix it with anybody. They have phenomenal players. Like Sanchez on his day is outstanding, and then in the back three, Buffelli is one of the top fullbacks around these days.
He's grown into
himself. Still aging like a fine wine, another lovely player.
Royce,
And then on the wing you have your options. You could,
Delguy, Moyano,
Mojano, Moroni if he doesn't play in the centre. I'd love to see Delguy get a go. He hasn't played all year. Last year he was awesome. Phenomenal.
Their wingers are awesome, and then like Sanchez as well, an awesome operator from 10 when he's in form. I know you're not as huge a fan of Kubeli from 9.
No, I'm not a fan of Kubeli. I'd like to see Azcura start, but I think Kubeli will. Too slow, you say, for a fast and loose Argentina team that want to attack through the wings. No, their back row is very impressive. I think they do have their physical second rows. Lavanini annoys me. He annoys you too because he tends to give away crazy penalties needlessly. He's a problem for them. He could end up hurting them in terms of penalties conceded.
He has a very bad disciplinary track record. He constantly seems to pop up with loose lead of plays.
But at their best, as we saw from the Jaguares in Super Rugby earlier in the year, they are a very fun team. They do hunt tries.
They exist on a different level in the World Cup to the rest of the World Cup cycle as well. They turn up for World Cups like very few other teams, and sure Ireland know that intimately.
Indeed. When they get the bit between their teeth, they do find play after play after play. One thing that they do is just it is less we fundamentally attack space, like we were talking about Japan and what they do. They like as a religion just attack space wherever the space is. We're attacking there. No questions asked. Argentina aren't actually quite like that.
No,
Sanchez
let's attack wide.
It's wide. It's wide. It's get the ball into the hands of the wingers regardless of who's marking them or what's going on, and it can be great. A lot of sides defend narrow. A lot of sides are very silly and defend narrow.
They can definitely catch Six Nations defences off very easily with that kind of
And they've got 2 of them in the pool.
So
that's obviously a positive sign. But in terms of how you beat them, just hold your width.
Hold your width and shoot.
And shoot. You shoot, get into those passing lanes as well.
As illustrated by Australia 4 years ago. If you shoot a little bit, you're going to pick off some intercepts. You're going to shut them down fundamentally. The fact that they don't have the scrum as the massively offensive set piece it used to be for Argentina, like a traditional Argentinian strength, the fact that that's so frail, I think will be their undoing. I think they're rightly 3rd ranked in whatever about the 11 world rankings things. I think they're rightly below England and France, even though France have been floundersome for 4 years. I still would have them below purely on set.
That's actually an interesting to go back to our talking point, our pre-tournament talking point in terms of does the 4-year cycle matter?
Not if you're France.
Argentina have been building for 4 years. They've been getting better and better. They obviously were great in the last World Cup, but they've had more rugby championship seasons. They've had the Jaguares enter Super Rugby, develop in Super Rugby, get to a Super Rugby final. It has been this gradual progression of getting more and more squad players, getting Buffelli looking as sharp as you've ever looked, finding a world even player in Pablo Matera, where France have been just floundering, and this guy's in, and Bastro's captain, now he's dropped, now he's captain again, and it's just been a nonsense for 4 years up until this year, where you've seen Galtier come in and the selection solidly of great offensive young guys.
Well, they've been invigorated by Toulouse. Toulouse has risen this year and come back and
Clermont as well, because they've got Fofana and Lopez and Penaud. But what they've done is selected a backline in particular of young guys who are built in the model of old school French players who throw offloads, who have fun, who just attack, who flood little narrow channels full of players, and you could back them to execute a 3-on-2 in a phone box. They love their little offloading game. They pick intelligent lines. Damien Penaud is one of the great wingers of the world right now.
Yeah, he is.
Ruthless player.
Potential top try scorer. He's awesome. Yeah. Like, keep scoring for them. France are an anomaly in terms of World Cups. They will be, in terms of that point we were making about World Cup cycles, them and the Aussies are best primed to buck that trend, because they're just like, they're a flowy team. They love a momentum. Sure, even thinking of, they axed Lièvremont in mid tournament and then
kept him on as lame duck,
but they were coaching themselves, the players, and they went out and made a final and probably should have won the final. And it's like, they're that kind of intangible team that, and they similarly, they have such a playing pool. They're such a big country that they can be getting it wrong for longer than the likes of Ireland or Wales or New Zealand, like where everything has to be very well managed, well drilled to get the most out of your resources. They have so many resources that they can afford to flounder them around and get it wrong for a while. They just have to be right for 6 weeks, 7 games in a row, and try and win a World Cup. And they do have World Cup pedigree. They have a history in the tournament. They've reached finals before. They know what it takes to string some plays together. They play broadly an attacking kind of game. They're a little loose on defence. They're pretty slow on defence. Some of their big forwards are a bit lazy around the corner.
There's a big question mark over how good their pack is and how good their defence is. And they don't, for all of that, like 2011 parallels, they don't have a guy like Dusatoir.
No, they don't. They don't have out and out ball stealers. Which affects
Camille Shah, I guess, would be the closest.
But he's not even starting.
He may be. Garrado's getting on. Like,
he is. I know.
Shah has been great. And Shah at hooker is a big dynamic, adds a bit of dynamism to the team.
Powerful scrummager too.
Itoria too. The scrum is huge for them, and it's the thing the pack are most useful at.
It's the thing I think that separates them from Argentina. I think they're two teams on a very similar level. I think they could play each other 100 times and it would be like 50-50, 52-48. Like, they're close enough, but the fact that the French have a scrum that they go to as a weapon, not like that they're struggling to keep it tight at all. They are actually, they scrum for penalties. There's a tradition of it in the top tours as well. They're there to then have options. They've left Danny Priso off the plane.
That's Danny Priso off the plane. Exactly.
And they still have supreme scrummagers there.
They've great scrummagers. Nicolas Massa, tight head as well.
Awesome.
A very, very capable guy. They're going to attack that scrum. I think it could also become about just which backline is hot. Like France, very similar to Argentina, best chances to keep the ball quick and to make the game about your attack. And that's what they're going to be hoping to do against Argentina on that opening day. And it'll be curious. I mean, is the game about the French attack, or is it about the Argentinian wingers, or is it about Pablo Matera potentially, or the French scrum?
There are winning conditions for both. It's going to be a really, really good contest because they both play such a fun brand. But I think those are the two that are fighting for second place in the pool and a quarter final. Because I think both of them are going to lose to England.
Probably.
England are looking awesome. They're the other argument for the form team coming in. The Springboks, I think, are the form team. But this England side are riding a wave of momentum and confidence coming off a shellacking of Wales, and then obviously losing the return fixture against Wales, but then thumping Ireland in Twickenham, and then putting a score on Italy for the fans in St James's Park, not conceding a point. They're very well primed. They know exactly what they're doing. They're playing a very physical game. They have game breakers littered throughout the team.
Especially in that pack, they have Vunipola, Itoje, and other Vunipola in that pack are just a very, very good argument for being the best in the world in those positions. We talked about James Ryan in the context of Ireland. Itoje's a bit of a guy like that, where he's just one of the great players of the world who continues to influence games.
And then behind him, they're like between Cruz, Launchbury, and Courtney Laws, they have some elite locks. They're up there with South Africa in terms of really elite second row division.
They play a bruisingly physical game. They look to batter teams, and crucially what they do is they play it at breakneck speed. They play really, really quick, both sides of the ball. They shoot up in defence and look to physically dominate, and then they shoot through an attack and look to physically dominate. And that's what they do. And then actually outside of that, when they get that go forward, they have like a surprising amount, maybe not surprising, but they have a great amount of subtlety to their distribution game.
Their passing game's great. Passing game has always been great, really, under Eddie Jones.
And Owen Farrell in particular is one of the great 10s of the world. They like to move teams around. They have all kinds kinds of options.
They have a monster in Tuilagi in the midfield, who's tough to contain.
They'll switch the play and go for kicks to the blind side to Johnny May.
Yeah.
They'll attack where the space is, but they'll manipulate the space as well. They'll have plans to make space in certain places. They'll get wingers at the bottom of rucks and then kick it to their wing. They're well coached and well drilled in attack.
Yeah.
One of the things that I would say about them is that because they play at such breakneck speed, they do try to achieve this sort of flow state, which when it's in flux is just an incredible thing to watch. I mean, we've seen it over the years. Even way back when Lancaster was in charge of them, they hit that flow state against the All Blacks and put 38-14 or whatever it was in that game. An incredible victory over one of the great All Black sides.
Yes.
Better than this All Black side.
Probably.
And they stuffed them because they achieved that flow state. And you saw them put 57 points in Ireland because when they hit it, they just don't stop.
Yeah, it's true.
But I think in Twickenham this year in the Calcutta Cup, you saw an indication of where it can go wrong. They were playing at that breakneck speed. They racked up a 38-point lead against the Scots, and then they lost a bit of momentum, and then the Scots scored a try, and then the Scots scored another try,
and then they just passed through an intercept, and another try,
and then they just could not get it back, because they're just still trying to play at pace, and they're still constantly we have one speed that we move at, and they can't actually settle it down and actually see a win home when they're in the lead.
They're poor at adjusting on pitch.
Yeah,
they're poor collectively at switching it up when it's going wrong. They do have in terms of this 4-year cycle point. If they're to not go well, I still think they're good for topping their group, but if they're to lose in the knockout stage, then it's not going to be their World Cup. The things that'll come back to haunt them are exactly that. They go long periods of games without scoring, like the second half in Scotland, like the second half in the first game against South Africa in that tour 3 years ago. It's happened against Wales in the Six Nations as well, where they just go to near 40 to 60 minute blocks without registering a point.
Yeah, and that's what happens when they just get out of that state that they like to be in.
And they also have a bit of a niggling problem with discipline, which is not something unique to this England team. It's actually a recurring theme with English rugby, to be honest. But when they're not going their way and when they're not on top in collisions, they have some players in there who are just prone to give away crazy penalties, needless penalties.
There's a risk involved there. They've picked Kyle Sinclair, who's become a little bit undeniable in the sense that he's
very skillful,
very physical. Very skillful, extremely skillful, and physical, and a very good scrummager.
Yeah,
ball carrier, passer for football.
Yeah.
But the guy has very poor temperament, and it could come back to bite them.
Yeah.
Because, your tight head prop getting yellow carded in a crucial quarter-final is game-changing.
Yes.
Or a semi-final if it's against the All Blacks. That's it, a guy's in the bin. Oh no, there go 3 tries and that's our World Cup over.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah.
So I think they've a little looseness in 1 or 2 areas of where it can go wrong for them, but they've rectified some of them. They used to have poor centres, now their centres are one of their great strengths in Slade and Tuilagi. Likewise, their flankers.
Yeah.
Then 2 incredible breakdown guys in Curry and Underhill.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot to like about it
for sure. Yeah. And despite they are still making it the fact that Alex Good isn't there. Still a bit of a questionable call. Cipriani as well as backup. There are still some mistakes, but England have such a wealth of talent that they can afford to make mistakes like that. But also the way this team is oriented and the way it's set up, I know he values Elliot Daly's left boot from fullback and such. Henry Slade's left boot from outside centre, or you can do the Ford Farrell option with Tuilagi at 13. So they have a load of options, but they're all fast and physical, and it's just a very English version of rugby that he's playing, and Eddie Jones is great at that. When he's coaching a team, honing in on an identity for them and sticking to that, and this England team have done that. So I would back them to top that pool and get out of it, and I think then it's up in the air. They definitely have the capacity to go all the way. They're one of the big strong favourites for this tournament.
Yes, for sure. And I think in terms of the predictions of that pool, we think England will top it. France against Argentina, opening day of the tournament, could go either way. I'm going to say France. Argentina do have that history. They played each other on the opening day of the tournament in 2007 on Paris, and Argentina stuffed them, but it was about our Argentina side. Pichot and a scrum, and Hernandez.
That's a big difference already. If this Argentina team had Pichot and a scrum,
then I'd be backing them. But France maybe. I'm optimistic about France. They have some great players. Yeah, but it's going to be tight.
Definitely. But it'll be a good one. I think they both play entertaining.
And everybody to see off the US
and Tonga.
Well, obviously Tonga.
I think the US to see off Tonga as well.
Oh yeah,
is the other one. But I suppose we'll move on.
Thanks for watching the Overlap Rugby podcast. If you want to subscribe, there should be a button up here. Don't forget to give us a like and share with your friends. And please leave comments down below. We love the conversation. Thanks.